12th episode of Talking Blizz with Joey Bonadonna, and this week we welcome in linebacker number 11, Allaah Sessions. Allaah, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. It's amazing to be here.
And you guys are coming off of a bye week this week, so you guys got a chance to recharge your batteries a little bit going into this important stretch. We just had your last home game of the 2023 season, a huge win over the Quad City Steamwheelers, evening up the season series, getting you guys back up to over 500, and you're now in the thick of a playoff race. And but first, before we dive into anything else, how do you guys feel coming out of this past week and being able to get this bye week this past week?
We feel great, man. We just pulled out a great win against a very good team, one of the top teams in the league, and in our conference. So that's always good. Practice-wise, everything's coming together. We're starting to get a good feel for each other and starting to trust each other a lot more. So I feel like, we have a good chance to finish strong this season.
And as we dive into this upcoming game, you guys play the Sioux Falls Storm. The last two games, you weren't on the team yet for this season, but it was an even split. Green Bay won in Sioux Falls won in Green Bay. Now this is the rubber match, and an important one as you guys start this 4-game road stretch going into the last 4 weeks of the season. How do you guys feel coming into this game? And we'll talk more about the Sioux Falls matchup down the road, but obviously an important one for playoff positioning. But how do you guys feel?
Like you said, it's a very important game right here. It's a playoff deciding game, so we're amped up. We're trying to stay focused. We're paying attention to all the details that we need to go in there and play the strongest game we can and come out with a win.
And diving a little bit into your story, this is your second year with the team, but you came in middle of the year. But we'll get a little further back here. You getting into football, what introduced you to the game? I know a lot of guys that we've interviewed have been multi-sport athletes. Max Myler played both basketball and football at some point in college. But being an athlete growing up, how did you get into the game of football? And whether that's middle school, high school, getting into college, when did you know that you might be able to play this at the next level?
It's kind of funny because everybody asks me this and they never believe it when I say I started playing football when I was literally 4 years old. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I was just overactive, or I know my dad always loved football. Maybe he just wanted me to start young, and they enrolled me in flag football, and I just fell in love with it. I remember even at 4 years old or 5 years old, however far my memory goes back, that's just always what I wanted to do. So.
And getting into college, you played at both New Haven and Wagner. What was your recruiting process like? What was your college career like? And what did you take away from playing at that level?
Okay, so recruiting process, it was rough coming out of New York. New York isn't the most heavily recruited state as far as football goes, so it was a rough process. I didn't really have too many offers until like the end of my senior year, when it was starting to get late and you're looking forward and people are wondering where you're going to end up going. So a little bit later on in the season, I got an offer from Wagner College, and I got another offer, a full ride offer from Army University, but Army. And I just, after viewing the pros and cons of both situations, I decided to go to Wagner. I enjoyed Wagner. It was a good place to be. I actually just got hurt in my third season there, at the beginning of my third season there, and I felt like I needed a restart, so I chose to transfer to University of New Haven, and I finished my last season there, and I enjoyed that even more than I enjoyed it at Wagner. That was a real football culture high school. or cultured school, you know. So it was great to be there. I actually enjoyed it very much. And what was the second part of the question?
What did you take away from those? What did you take away from those years? And another question to follow up on that: what was COVID had an impact? A lot of these players that I've been talking to is that's right in the time frame was when with college ending. That's when COVID was and pro days and all of that. How did that impact your ability to get to the next level?
Well, along with that, my opportunities at getting to the next level were stunted a lot due to COVID, due to other situations, you know, personal situations that, you know, just come up as far as life. So, what I can take from, you know, COVID, college football, and, you know, the past 5 years of my life, to be honest, is just 5 to 6 years of my life, is, to be honest, is just, you know, the struggle of being an adult and, you know, taking care of yourself and the trials and tribulations you'll go through as being a grown man or a grown woman, and learning how to deal with it, having self-control and being able to, you know, follow God when things are tempting you to, you know, stray away from that. So that's what I can take away from, you know, the whole experience of college football, COVID, you know, the whole mix-up of all of that.
And your jump to the pro career, you were initially signed with Northern Arizona last year, but signed with Green Bay the week of April 13th, 2022, and it was an important game that week. Green Bay Blizzard against the Massachusetts Pirates. I'm not sure what it was, but Green Bay is coming in on a long losing streak dating back to the season before. Massachusetts has a winning streak dating back to the season before. They had been the defending champs. You came up with a big play at the end of that one in overtime, hurdling over the running back to make a stop on fourth down. Your first game in Green Bay. What was that situation like, getting into Green Bay, being able to make a play in that game to give your team the win?
Man, I mean, honestly, that was like a dream come true in the moment. You know, I went home and, you know, called all my family members and was just yelling and cheering on the phone for, you know, probably the rest of the night. Like I said, it was a dream come true. I didn't play football for 3 years after COVID because, you know, some things in my personal life had come up where I didn't finish my last season. So that was kind of rough for me. You know, I was in a state of mind where I was kind of desperate and a little bit hopeless until I got the call from Green Bay, especially after I was released from Northern Arizona. So, like I said, man, the best way to describe it is it was like a dream come true. Like, I came in and I made a difference for a professional football team, and that's what I've always wanted to do. So,
and talking about the Sioux Falls matchup, the last time you got to play against Sioux Falls, recover an onside kick, or not even onside kick, it was just a squib kick with 3 seconds remaining, setting up Nick Jaworski to kick the game-winning field goal in that game. Another spot where you came up in a big-time situation for the Blizzard. Honestly, walk me through that one, because I don't think I've really been able to get the rundown from anyone about that play. Run me through that one. Did you kind of know that squib was coming, or what was that? Can you walk me through that almost a year later?
Yeah, so the entire game, the kicker on Sioux Falls had been squib kicking it in between me and the middleman of the field. So, you know, there's 3 seconds left, and everybody's pretty much, you know, getting ready to pack it up. And I'm not that kind of guy. You know, I never give up, even if there's 1 second left. I feel like 1 second can make a difference. So the ball had been flying past me the whole game, and I just felt like I could catch it. And I had been thinking about it, and, you know, there was 3 seconds left. I was like, there's nothing to lose. So as the kicker went to kick the ball, I just started inching over towards the middle of the field, and the ball came right to me. So I just, caught it and dove on the ground and set us up for the field goal. I just doing my best to make a difference once again and trying to make a play.
And that was the first win in franchise history for Green Bay against Sioux Falls. This upcoming week, you have another opportunity to make history. This would be the first time in franchise history that Green Bay would win the season series against Sioux Falls with a win. Franchise implications, playoff implications, a lot of implications on the line. But one thing that I did want to note is one of the linebackers you played with here last year, James Brown, left for Sioux Falls in free agency. He was, all IFL last year. What was that like playing with him last year, things you kind of took away from each other, and now getting to match up with him this weekend in Sioux Falls on other sides of the field?
Oh man, it's gonna be real fun to play against James. Like you said, he's one of the best linebackers in the league last year. Just due to my position, I ended up playing behind him, and it was actually very positive for me because he's a very knowledgeable dude, a hard worker, and a good role model, for anybody, not just kids, but, other people that are striving to be great. So, it taught me a lot to play behind him and, just pick up on, his work ethic and his habits that allow him to be as great as he is. So, the competitor in me still wants to believe that, you can outdo the next man across the line. So it's going to be fun to, put that to the test and see who can come out with the win.
And going a little bit further back, you ended up, you weren't signed to the team at the start of the season. And you and I actually kind of talked when you didn't come back and, always said that this is a family, whether you're in Green Bay or not, this is always a family. Things kind of shook out that you made your way back here, and you have been able to fulfill some consistency at that linebacker position. Tell me how that all kind of came about and how you think that your fit to this team has really helped this defense improve since the start of the season.
Are you asking like how I got signed?
Yeah.
So it was kind of out of nowhere, to be honest. I didn't hear from Coach. I can't say that I was set on coming back last year. I did tell Coach that I wasn't 100% coming back, so maybe that took a lot of, or that had a lot to do with the fact that I didn't hear from him. But I didn't hear from him, and then a couple weeks into the season, I think it was 3 weeks into the season, my agent I was working with reached out to me and said Green Bay needed a safety. So originally I was supposed to come play safety for the season, and I wasn't able to come because I had some things coming up at home. So I just needed a few weeks to get things in order and get things situated. So when I came back, Coach Rope gave me a call a couple weeks later, and he said, "Listen, man, we want you to play linebacker instead, and we still want you. So if you're ready to come out, we'll have you." And I was, in the situation where I could come, so packed my things up and came. And that's how that kind of worked out.
And the second part, adding on to that, beginning of the season, you kind of saw this defense, and really for the last few years, this defense has been the staple of this team. This year, things kind of flipped. At the beginning of the year was the offense that had been clicking, the defense not so much. Changes around this defensive unit, two guys returning like Trey and Sean, but you coming back, a few guys being added, is really started to put this defense into where it should be. And you guys have really proved that in these last couple of weeks against Iowa and Quad City. But how do you think, since you've come in, you've seen this defense improve?
Oh, man, it's improved a lot. When I first came in, it wasn't anything horrible that was going on, but it just there wasn't the defensive energy that you need to have. It just was we were just flat. It didn't seem like we were 100% confident in what we were doing, that we knew what we were doing. It didn't seem like we trusted each other to make the plays that were made or needed to be made. But as the season has went on since I've been here, I've noticed that we're all talking a lot more. We trust each other. The brotherhood has grown. We all hang out on a daily basis. It's really great to see a team that wasn't really operating on the smoothest grounds come together and become a family, like you stated, and have that move over to the football field. So yeah, it's been great to see.
And one final question for you, Allaah, and it's one that I always ask everyone. What's one thing about yourself that Blizzard Nation might not know that you'd like to share? It could be a fun fact, a hobby, anything of that sort that you'd want to share.
I guess I like to fish. That's actually a new hobby that I picked up. One of my best friends back home asked me if I wanted to go fishing this past summer, and I just said, you know what, let me just do it, see how I like it. I never really went fishing before in my life, so I wasn't sure if I'd like it. I went as a little kid, but I never really caught anything or actually, got into it. So
you're in a good spot for it, I'll say that.
yeah, so that's what I was thinking. I see people fishing down over by the river all the time, or whatever it is on there. But yeah, I'm really interested in fishing. I'm trying to learn more about it. So if anybody out there listening to this knows about fishing, contact me on Instagram or something, and give me some tips.
Well, there we go. Expert fisherman in the making. Allaah Sessions. Again, game this week against the Sioux Falls Storm on the road. It'll be Friday night in Sioux Falls. You can tune in on YouTube. 7:05 kickoff. Allaah, any other words going into this matchup that you want to leave us with?
Man, thanks for the support, and we hope we can bring you a dub this weekend and finish the season off strong so we can take it to the playoffs. And thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Talking Blizz. And again, game this weekend against the Sioux Falls Storm. A big playoff matchup really in the making for both of these sides. Again, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, go Blizz.